Right now, during the time you're reading this, your body is doing something you probably don't notice. You feel awake, you feel functional, you think you're fine, but chances are you're not. Most people today are running on 6 hours of sleep or less. They wake up, drink coffee, get through the day, and call it normal. They've done it so many times they've forgotten what it actually feels like to be fully rested. And here's the thing, that forgetting is not accidental. That's the first lie sleep deprivation tells you. It makes you believe you've adapted, that you're one of those people who just doesn't need that much sleep. You're not. Nobody is. Your body right now, if you slept less than 7 hours last night, is already in a measurable state of impairment. Not tired impairment. Chemical impairment. There's a molecule called adenosine. Every hour you're awake, your brain produces more of it. It accumulates like debt. It presses against your neurons and slows them down. Normally, sleep clears it out completely, a full reset. But if you cut your sleep short, some of that debt carries over, and then the next night adds more, and the next. Within 2 weeks of sleeping 6 hours a night, your cognitive performance degrades to the same level as someone who hasn't slept in 24 hours straight. The difference is, the person who pulled an all-nighter knows they're impaired. You don't. You've lost the ability to accurately judge your own condition. And you walk around like that every day? After 17 hours without sleep, which, if you woke up at 7 in the morning, means midnight, your brain function is equivalent to a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. That's legally drunk in most of Europe. At 24 hours, it climbs to 0.10%, above the legal limit in every country on earth. You would never get behind the wheel after 3 glasses of wine, but you set your alarm for 6, lie down at midnight, and call it a night. And that's just one day. What happens inside your body at hour 36 is something your brain was never designed to handle. What happens at hour 72 is something researchers who studied it still struggle to describe without using the word terrifying. You've been awake for 24 hours now. You might not even realize it. Maybe you just stayed up late, watched one more episode, opened one more tab, waited one more hour, but your body knows, and it has already started making decisions you didn't approve. The first decision involves your immune system. After 24 hours without sleep, your production of certain immune cells drops measurably. Cytokines, the proteins your body uses to fight infection, are being manufactured in lower quantities. You are now more vulnerable to illness than you were yesterday morning, not metaphorically, biologically. Your body has decided that staying functional right now matters more than long-term protection. It's throwing resources where it thinks they're most urgent and letting everything else slide. Hour 36. This is where something happens that most people never think about because they've never recognized it as a problem. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that processes emotional threat, becomes up to 60% more reactive. That means things that would normally roll off you suddenly feel unbearable. A short look from someone across the room feels hostile. A small inconvenience at work feels like a personal attack. Your patience disappears not because you're weak, but because the part of your brain responsible for keeping emotional reactions proportional has gone offline. What's left is raw, unfiltered, ancient. Your brain has reverted to a threat detection mode it was built for 300,000 years ago, when every shadow in the dark could kill you. Hour 48. Your brain does something you've never given it permission to do. It starts going offline on its own. Micro-sleeps, bursts of unconsciousness lasting anywhere from 2 to 30 seconds, triggered without warning, without your consent. Your eyes may stay open. You won't feel yourself falling asleep. You'll just lose time. A blank space where the world continued without you. People have driven off highways during microsleeps and had no memory of closing their eyes. Surgeons have made fatal errors. Engineers have missed alarms. And every single one of them felt awake right up until the moment they weren't. At 48 hours, researchers have also documented something that sounds like it belongs in a horror film. Your brain begins pruning its own synaptic connections at an abnormal rate, a process that, under normal circumstances, only happens during deep sleep to clean up and consolidate memory. Without sleep, it happens chaotically, indiscriminately. The brain starts clearing out connections it hasn't finished using yet. It is, in the most literal sense, beginning to erase itself, and you still have 24 hours to go before the worst of it starts. By hour 72, your brain has given up trying to wait. It needs REM sleep. It needs to dream. And if you won't let it happen at night, horizontally, with your eyes closed, it will make it happen anyway, right now, with your eyes open. This is where the hallucinations begin, not the gentle kind, not the soft blur at the edge of your vision that you can blink away. Real hallucinations, insects crawling across walls that are completely still, voices calling your name from empty rooms, shadows in the corner that turn their head when you look at them. Your brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is dreaming, the REM state. The deep cycle of sleep where your mind processes, repairs, and reconstructs itself has started bleeding into your waking hours because your brain has run out of other options. The border between sleep and consciousness has collapsed. You are dreaming. You just happen to be standing up. In 1964, a 17-year-old high school student in San Diego named Randy Gardner decided to stay awake for 11 days for a science fair project. By day 3, he couldn't identify objects by touch alone. By day 4, he became convinced he was a famous football player and refused to believe otherwise. By day 6, he couldn't read. His sentences stopped making sense mid-word. By day 11, his hands wouldn't stop trembling. He couldn't remember what he had said 30 seconds earlier. Researchers who monitored him said it was the closest they had ever seen a human being come to temporary psychosis without the use of any substance whatsoever. He recovered. But the researchers who studied his brain said it took weeks before the damage fully reversed. Some of them weren't sure it entirely did, and Randy Gardner was young, healthy, and closely monitored the entire time. Meanwhile, your body has been running a full physiological emergency for 3 days. Your cortisol levels, the stress hormone your body releases during crisis, have been elevated for 72 hours straight. Your blood pressure has spiked. Your heart is beating irregularly. Every organ in your body is operating on protocols designed for a short-term threat that never ended. Your body prepared for danger. The danger never passed, so it kept going, and kept going, and kept going. There is a real genetic disease called fatal familial insomnia. It is caused by a single mutation that slowly destroys the brain's ability to sleep. There is no treatment. There is no cure. People who have it stop sleeping gradually, then completely. Then they begin to hallucinate. Then their bodies shut down one system at a time, and they die, usually within 12 months of the first symptom. The stages of fatal familial insomnia mirror, almost exactly, the stages of extreme sleep deprivation in otherwise healthy people. The only difference is the speed. Here is what nobody tells you about sleep. It is not rest. Rest is what you do when you sit down after a long walk. Rest is passive. Rest is the absence of effort. Sleep is something else entirely. Sleep is construction, maintenance, the most complex biological process your body runs, and the only one it cannot do while you are conscious. During deep sleep, your brain activates a system that has no equivalent anywhere else in human biology. It is called the glymphatic system, a network of channels that opens almost exclusively at night, when your neurons physically shrink by up to 60% to make room. And through those channels, cerebrospinal fluid floods in and flushes out the toxic waste that accumulated while you were awake. Metabolic byproducts, damaged proteins, cellular debris, the garbage your brain generated simply by thinking, feeling, and keeping you alive through the day. One of those proteins is called beta-amyloid. You have probably heard of it. It is the protein that accumulates in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. It builds up in clumps, disrupts neural communication, and slowly destroys memory and cognition from the inside. And here is what researchers at the University of Rochester discovered in 2013, a finding so significant it was called one of the most important neuroscience discoveries of the decade. Your brain clears beta-amyloid during sleep, not partially, substantially. Every night that you sleep fully, your glymphatic system runs its flush cycle and removes a meaningful portion of that day's buildup. Every night that you don't, some of it stays. And the next night adds more. And the next. Over years, over decades, chronic sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired. It fills your brain slowly and quietly with the exact substance that defines one of the most devastating diseases in human history. You are not skipping rest. You are skipping the only cleaning cycle your brain gets. Your ancestors slept 9 hours a night, not because life was slower, not because they had nothing better to do, because their brains demanded it. And there was no artificial light to convince those brains that the sun hadn't set yet. They slept in 2 phases, around fire, in complete darkness, and they woke in the middle of the night in a state researchers now describe as closer to meditation than to wakefulness. That window of quiet consciousness between first and second, sleep, the one that vanished the moment Edison commercialized the light bulb, was not wasted time. Scientists now believe it was when the brain consolidated the most important memories of the day, when it did its deepest repair work, when it was, in the most literal sense, most fully alive. You replaced all of that with a phone. And every morning when your alarm goes off after 6 hours and you tell yourself you feel fine, that's not resilience. That's the lie. The same lie that's been running since hour one. The same lie your brain tells you because it has no other choice, because admitting the truth would make the damage impossible to ignore. Tonight you will probably do it again. Set the alarm too early. Stay up too late. Tell yourself tomorrow you'll catch up. But sleep debt doesn't work like financial debt. You cannot pay it back over the weekend. The hours you lost on Tuesday are gone. The cleaning cycle that didn't run on Wednesday left something behind that is still there. And every night you shortchange your brain, you are making a withdrawal from an account that does not allow overdrafts. You just don't get the notification until it's too late.